ABN has exciting and great news to announce to you. Europe and South America can now watch the ABN Digital Tree channels through the following platforms and devices: Android phones, Android tablets, Android TV boxes, Sony Smart TVs, and Sharp Smart TVs. This is in addition to Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Roku Box, as well as our websites, abnsat.com and trinitychannel.com. Be sure to hurry and purchase any of these devices to experience the high-quality channels from the digital tree. In order to keep the digital tree running, remain fruitful, and multiply in more channels, please show your support and donate.
You are watching Trinity Channel.
Welcome to In the News, Bishay. I am Jim Bishay. Thank you so much for coming along with us. We have a packed show, and I would love to get your attention to what's about to happen in 5 days. We have been talking about Decision 2020, about this upcoming election, and how important to you and I, how vital this decision is going to make a big difference. It's I named this show The Choice, Decision 2020, because there is really, really a big choice here. And I want you to, my dear viewer, to pay attention to what we're going to go through. I'm not going to talk about personalities. I'm not going to talk about tweets. I'm going to talk about facts and things that sometimes reported in the media, sometimes not reported in the media. The biggest story today, you probably following it, maybe on whatever social media or TV you watch, but there is a huge, big story going on today. And that's about a clip that I'm going to be showing you in 1 minute. It's about Hunter Biden and about his emails, about a laptop that he turned in to be repaired. And that laptop basically was forgotten. He left it, and the repairer of that shop, after a few months, he starts going through it. And according to the Delaware law, it's his property now because it was abandoned. And then he finds tens of thousands of Hunter Biden. Of course, Hunter Biden is the son of Joseph Biden. Joe Biden is the running on the Democratic ticket for the presidential election. I'm sure you know that. So they found tens, probably estimated about 40,000 emails on that laptop. And it has issues about dealings with China, Russia, Ukraine, and so many other countries. Okay, and it was not, the repairer, the computer shop, turned it in to the FBI after he made a copy to protect himself. He also gave a copy to some other attorneys and what have you. But I want to say that the FBI verified that everything on that laptop was accurate. And not only that, but the Senate, Senator Ron Johnson and Congressman Jim Jordan, both of them actually did come out and verify that the Senate also issued a report, an 87-page report showing that. So we are not, if you have been watching this show, we are all about the facts. I'm not interested in conspiracy theory. I'm not interested in just filling an hour of your time, of your precious time. It's a privilege to be in your home with you. So I want to really give you facts and make you make your own decision. So the email story and the laptop been going on for a few more weeks, even though that's been, that laptop was turned into the FBI back in December 2019. Okay, almost 10 months ago. And this week, a gentleman by the name of Todd Biblinski came out to say, well, some of these emails were from me and they were valid, and also had an interview. So right now, I'm going to take you to the first clip to show you Mr. Tony Boblinski with Tucker Carlson of Fox News. And just that interview, basically, just a little bit of it to give you an idea. And then on the other side of that clip, I will be inviting a dear friend to talk about it, okay? Stay tuned. Here we go.
Can you go up in here? Megan, can you go up in here?
The former vice president has said he had no knowledge whatsoever of his son's business dealings and was not involved in them at all. But this sounds like direct involvement in them.
Yeah, that's a blatant lie. When he states that, that is a blatant lie. Obviously, the world's aware that I attended the debate last Thursday. And in that debate, he made a specific statement around questions around this from the president. And I'll be honest with you, I almost stood up and screamed liar and walked out because I was shocked that after 4 days or 5 days that they prepped for this, that the Biden family is taking that position to the world.
So that was the clip, and it showed Tucker Carlson of Fox interviewing Tony Boblinski. I would like to invite someone who can really talk into this issue and about, what's going on with this issue. For that, I invited a good friend of mine, Howard Shen. And Howard, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. I'm glad to be here.
So happy to have you. So I'm sure you've been following what's going on for the last, 2-3 weeks. And I want to get your take on it. What do you think about what's going on? Where is that going to go? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, if you really track this has been going on for a long time, right? There's been rumor of Ukraine and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden involvement, but it's such a complicated story and it's such a intricate story that not many people reported. And I think Glenn Beck did a good job on it, laying out the timeline. But even if you look through it, it's complicated. But what's interesting in the last few weeks was the notebook that you're talking about. And the notebook exposed significantly more data that's easier to trace with China and Ukraine. The issue we're talking about here, anybody can talk with any foreign government that they want, right? There's not a problem about, hey, Hunter Biden did business with Ukraine, or, Hunter Biden did business with China. He's a citizen. He can do whatever he wants. The problem that we're really discovering here is, or the question at least that we want to answer is there any corruption going on, right?
Correct, right.
Yeah. And we all talk about, election is coming up in 5 days. Okay. So the question that we really need to answer is, hey, is there something going on? Is Hunter doing business with Ukraine and China because his father, Joe, has influence? Is he doing something that's taking advantage of his dad's power? Or are those companies paying Hunter Biden because he can influence Joe Biden on his policy, right?
Right.
Those are the questions that we really have to look and answer, because, people will say, look, Trump has business dealing with China too. Yeah, he
Sure.
does. Right. He's an international businessman.
Sure.
A lot of people have business dealing with different countries, but that doesn't mean that they have influence, that those countries can influence America's policy because of them. And where this is very interesting is Joe Biden was the vice president under Obama. So when Hunter Biden has all these international interests and they coincide with the different policy that Joe Biden was in charge of, because Joe Biden was in charge of relationship with Ukraine when Hunter Biden was hired by Burisma, right?
Yeah.
So
And
there's no
China,
direct proof.
right?
Huh?
and in charge of China as well.
Yes, exactly. So, and this is the problem. Do we know? No, we don't. Is there suspicion? Yes, there is, right? And do we need to know more about it? Absolutely, right?
Why is that? Why wouldn't we say, well, this is all about Hunter? Yeah, maybe he used his dad's name by his own admission when he was being interviewed by ABC, but that he would have gotten these deals if it wasn't for his family name. But why is that very relevant at this point, that the people, the citizens, the voters, we need to know? Why is that important, Howard? Why? Tell me why.
Yeah. Our government is supposed to serve the citizen of the country.
Correct.
When our government has a chance of being influenced by a foreign power for the enrichment of the people in the government, that's when we need to be really careful. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this statistic, but if you look, before Biden was the vice president, his earning was about $400,000 a year. After, his earning is $15 million a year. Okay, that by itself doesn't have any. There's no crime. That's not an indication of a crime, right?
Correct.
People can just say, "Well, he got more famous," and if just that, I'm okay. But when you look at the fact that when Joe Biden was in charge of Ukraine and Hunter Biden got employed by one of the most corrupt company in the world, by Burisma,
right? Energy
something a little strange, right? Yeah, energy company. And then same thing when people communicate with Hunter Biden in these emails, the text. I'll give you. There's no direct reference with Joe Biden, right? And in fact, Tony Bobulinski, he said that, hey, we are told not to put Joe's name in any communication. So
that tells you something right there, though.
Yeah, that tells you something right there. But, if they're able to do a 2 years investigation on Trump because of some dossier from someone that the FBI don't trust already, I'm not saying Hunter is absolutely corrupt. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not saying Joe is corrupt, because I think we have a hint of that. We have the smoking gun in this.
Correct.
But this is definitely enough for American people to look at and judge for themselves whether there's something. And this is absolutely enough information for people to start investigating this, because if we don't investigate this, then we are, the last few years, all we heard is, Russia, and Trump, right?
Right. Ukraine impeachment.
All we hear is those things.
Right.
And we found nothing, right? We found nothing after 2 years of investigation. But this is more evidence than when we started with Trump. So, albeit I can't point to any information and say, hey, because of A, B, C, that Joe Biden is definitely corrupt. But I can say that, hey, there's something going on with Ukraine. There's something going on with China. Joe Biden flew the Secret Service over with Hunter Biden in China. I mean, all the viewer, American government, they're pretty strict, right? When you're in a position of power, they track your finance.
Yep.
And not only did they track your finance, they track your finance, the finance of your family.
That's right.
Let me give you an example, right? I have a relative that works for ICE, and they have access to her bank account.
Wow.
So anytime when there's a transaction, in fact, that, there was a marital problem, there was a divorce, and then they got some money. Hey, they brought her into the office. Where did the money come from?
Oh, wow.
So because they know the person is in a position of power to grant or to deny people asylum, right?
To be
so that
correct.
that check and balance exists in U.S. government. So there is no way Hunter Biden can take money in from different companies without Joe Biden knowing.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me switch gear. So, I mean, and I appreciate what you're saying, Howard, because we don't know for facts, but there is a smoking gun, which warrants at least an investigation. Okay.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
But what do you make of what's going on that the media, for example, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, you name it, of course, good old Jack Dorsey of Twitter, Facebook, they just adamantly refuse to run the story. What's going on? What is the free press? What do you think? What is that?
It's a cyclical logic going on there, right? I mean, we were all taught in college to refer news source, and we were all taught that the reliable news source were CNN, Washington Post, ABC, NBC.
Right.
So when they don't publish the news, they can say, hey, look, those news weren't published on CNN. Of course they're false. And
right.
And what's interesting, so today there was a very, very interesting article that I saw. Glenn Greenwald, by no means a conservative, right?
Right.
He's a founder of The Intercept, a publication online. And they're a big newspaper. He quit.
Why?
He quit because he said that the editors in Intercept won't let him publish an article about Hunter Biden. And what he said was, I mean, I read his article that he wanted to propose. We're kind of on the same boat. He said, hey, look, there's a lot of smoking gun here. And there's something wrong that CNN, NBC, CBS
is now reporting.
Nobody is talking about it. And I mean, we already know from data that the major media overwhelmingly financially support the Democrats, right?
Absolutely, by far.
And that by itself, nothing is wrong with it. But when they start to inject personal opinion into a story, whether they should publish or not, that becomes a problem because the major media supposed to prevent governmental corruption.
Correct.
And the major media isn't there to prevent Republican corruption. Right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'll give them that. They do a good job of that.
They are just a press. Just report to the story and let us make our own minds.
Yes, they're supposed to research and dig. And the lack of interest in digging into this is probably the bigger story in itself than the story.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's absolutely appalling that. And what happened to Washington Post and Twitter? I mean, that's mind-boggling. Washington Post, by publishing this news, right, was blocked from Twitter, but for over a week.
Yeah, that's the fourth largest in the U.S. and the oldest.
Yes, and all they did was they published something, and then Twitter said, "Oh no, it's a Russian campaign again, right?" And when asked, "Do they have any evidence?"
Here we go. Yeah,
there was no evidence, right? It was just someone say, "Hey, it might be a Russian campaign. It could be. It looked like." And then because of the cyclical nature of, reliable source that we're talking about,
Right.
CNN, NBC, they can refer to each other. NBC can say, "Oh, look, CNN say it's a Russian news source," and NBC can go to CNN. Well, CNN say it's a Russian source, so we're not going to publish it.
Yeah, I'm going like this.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem. That hey, look, I don't know. I'm not a reporter. I don't have the contact, nor the time, nor the resources to dig into this. Digging into a news story like this require travel, require research, require contact, require talking to people, all those things. Where are our media in doing this? The lack of journalistic curiosity.
That's right. Investigative reporting.
Yeah, it's appalling. And
it's really unfortunate because this is like, someone said, okay, what if Joe Biden wins? Then they're going to become just a propaganda, a state propaganda news media, no different than China, no different than Venezuela, Cuba. Where is the free press anymore?
The good thing is there's still some around, but the reach of those the problem we're talking about is not just the press, right? We have the mainstream press and we have the social media company working together right now. The social media company will only refer to the mainstream press as authoritative news, right?
Yeah.
When let's see, if you want to tweet something that's against the mainstream press, the chances are Twitter will ban you, right?
Correct.
If you want to publish something on YouTube that's against the mainstream press, YouTube has a reason to demonetize you or to, hide you from search results.
Correct.
So it's just, it is scary. The good thing is, we have people who talks about that and they have listeners, right? You have, you guys, you have, different people like Glenn Beck, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, different YouTube channels that will talk about things like that. That's getting viewership.
Oh, and
but then
Fox too.
Yeah. Fox don't do a great job at it, but they're better than CNN and MSNBC, right?
Yeah,
and Tucker Carlson does a great job,
right? No, it's funny you mentioned that because even Tucker, I guess he had an uphill battle to report that interview, and he took the time to thank Fox for allowing him to do that interview, which is facts. It's facts. He's just reporting the facts. He's doing his duty, and it's very interesting. So just a quick question on a personal note: have you voted, Howard? Yes or no?
Yes, I have.
Fantastic.
Yes, I have. And unfortunately, because I'm in Texas and my registration is in California, I have to send it by mail.
Gotcha.
But the cool thing is, there's a website you can track where your ballot is. So I sent it in and went to the website.
That, as a matter of fact. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Where you could
that was really, really cool.
Yes. And then they send you an email saying, hey, you voted. So, well, yes. I want to just thank you very much, Howard. There are more to talk about it, and maybe it won't end today, or it won't. This story probably it's not going to even end, on November 3rd by imagination. So I like to bring you back to talk about it, among other issues as well. So again, thank you for your time and for coming on. Anything else you'd like to tell us about thoughts about this coming election in the next minute or so?
Well, vote, right? Get your facts straight, vote. Go read for yourself any issues that you care about. Don't trust the mainstream media. They are right on some issues, of course, absolutely.
Sure.
But they are wrong on some issues. And I can tell you, I think there's a bias, but I think we're all smart enough to go read the fact and judge for ourselves whether the bias is true or not.
Indeed.
And then make your own decision.
Indeed. Thank you, Howard. And hopefully we'll see you again on the show.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. So I want to take the balance of the show basically to talk about the facts again, as we've been saying, but I'm going to draw a contrast between the two main candidates, Joe Biden and President Donald Trump, on different issues, on different ideas, on different accomplishments. Okay. You see right on your screen the Choice Decision 2020. And there is so much we're gonna cover just a couple of them, or maybe two or three big issues, one of them being the economy. The second one would be of course the foreign affairs, all foreign affairs, how Trump is handling foreign affairs, and we will touch on other issues that covers from to prison reform to other issues that came to light last 2 or 3, 4 years under Donald Trump. And we're going to try to contrast that with what Biden did. And I'm not going to focus about Biden's 47. Yes, you heard me right. He's been and it's very interesting. It's like, if you watch the last debate that was a few days ago, about a week ago now, it was last Thursday. It's a good question. Why didn't you do that for 47 years, or at least when you were a vice president for 8 years out of those 47? All the time you were in charge of many issues. You had a lot of influence, but you did not. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden's record, it's astonishing. Sometimes actually comes really to fight, to bite him. It's we're gonna look into some of that. We only have about half an hour to go, so we're gonna take a commercial break, and when we come back on the other side of the commercial break, we will go hopefully without stopping. So here you go. If we could take the commercial break right now. Thank you.
Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. Here at ABN, we have a prayer room filled with people who would love to join in prayer with you. For more information, please call us at 248-416-1300 or message us through our Facebook pages, ABN Sat or Trinity Channel, in order to pray privately with you. Thanks and God bless.
Thank you for watching Trinity Channel and supporting ABN Sat TV ministry. You can further support this ministry through social media, Facebook and YouTube. Just search Trinity Channel and click on our page. From there, like, follow, and share our page on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel while clicking on the bell icon to the right to receive notifications on new videos that we will post to the channel each week. Most importantly, after watching a video on these sites, use the comment section to give your thoughts about the program. Continue to support this ministry by following us on social media.
Welcome back. So we'll take the rest of this program about the two candidates, okay? And it may sound that I am in one's corner, but trust me, I am just trying to give you the facts that the media, the mainstream media, is not really reporting. A lot of them, and when they report, they only report a part of it. We're gonna go through I like to usually use slides to help you. So we're going to go to a slide called Today's Economic News. And that slide, basically, it's about what came out just today, fresh off the press, as they say. And it shows you the economic news that, we all know that we've been going through a huge downturn due to COVID. And, everyone is always holding his breath. How about the unemployment rate? How about this? How about that? If you please can go to that slide, today's economic news, that will be great. Keep going, please. And if you keep going, please, a couple of more slides. Here we go. Today's economic news. You see it right there. Wall Street Journal says U.S. economy recovers significant ground in record third quarter GDP rebound. The gross domestic product, the GDP. It's the indication of how the nation's production is going. And that number, USA Today, also everywhere is being reported today. It's the 33.1. You see it at the top right corner in front of your screen, 33.1%. And that basically how much the economy grew this last quarter, which is the third quarter we just finished, Q3, they call it, quarter three. There were more businesses reopened, and a lot of people anticipated a high number, but nobody anticipated it to be 33.1. So this is a huge accomplishment for our economy. I'm not here to advocate for Donald Trump. Yeah, I may sound like it. But really, that's not really my goal. Honestly, that's not my goal. If that's something between you and your vote, basically, and your God. If you pray, you should also pray about that. But it's a 33.1 on the GDP. And if we go to the next slide, and that also a big indication of the economy, and I'll tell you why this matters. You have a chart in front of you, and it says here, real GDP, actual versus projected. And we will see the red line actual, and it's even surpassed the projected. And that's all the way until last year, almost the same time last year. Of course, after that, when COVID hit, it went down, but now it's going up almost like a V shape. Some people say it's going like a V shape. When you hear V shape, that's what it looks like. Some people say it's like a U shape, like it's not a straight way upward, but it's like leveling off in the bottom a little bit, and then it starts going up, rising again. And I can just let you know that to be hopeful, to be optimistic, to be prayerfully optimistic about the economy's coming back. There is hope for you and I. There is hope in the United States of America if we keep on the track, if we do our civic duty and we vote for the right people, okay? And I'm going to go to the next slide, and it would show here historic unemployment lows. Right before COVID hit, and that is from NBC or CNBC, it says Black and Hispanic unemployment is at a record low. And it never happened before. I mean, we've seen the 33.1 today is a record low, but guess what? The unemployment was at a record low. It's interesting that President Obama, being an African-American, first African-American president, he did not do as much as President Trump has been doing to the African-American community and the Hispanic community and the minorities. He's trying to help them with the jobs, try to help them with their neighborhoods, to bring businesses into those neighborhoods, to revive it, to give them more job opportunities. He's trying to, even the median income, the median, which is like the middle income, the median income has risen about 4,400 on average for a middle income family. So these are things we're gonna explore more and more today for the rest of our time. Okay, the next one, you're gonna see the unemployment rates through September 2020. You look, and it was record low unemployment, 3.6, 3.5, 3.5, 3.6, 3.5, 4.4. Then, of course, COVID hit. You would see March, April 2020, COVID hit, it became 14.7. Of course, I understand that number sometimes doesn't take the people that out of the workforce, whether being discouraged, whether they are not looking for a job anymore for one reason or the other. But the claims of unemployment claims, that's what this measure usually largely measure. And the good news is from April 2020 until now, it's going down from 14.7, which was very high, to 13.3, well, shut down, and some people lost their jobs and filed for unemployment. 13.3, 11.1, 10.2, and it stays now at 7.9, which is definitely we are moving in the right direction to reopen this economy. So we will go and now switch gears into the foreign affairs. You say, okay, economy is doing well, and it will continue to do well. I'm going to tell you towards the end of the show, I'm going to show you the numbers about more jobs coming online, that jobs that didn't even exist before are coming online. So we're going to touch on it again, but I want to take a few minutes and go touch on Donald Trump's foreign affairs accomplishments, because they are really something to be mentioned. If you are following any of these events, okay, especially in the Middle East lately, huge things going on, things that been problematic in the Middle East for decades, even way before War of 1967, the 60-Day War, and way before that, even 1948, way before that. There are issues, and it wasn't only between Israel and Palestine, but it's been also Israel and the Arab world. And in my humble opinion, peace in the Middle East is a good thing. When people are getting along, they can sit down instead of trying to kill each other and hurt each other economically, and of course, bloodshedding and so forth and so on. They can sit down. That's when you see things start. World, not just, but for everybody. We have no idea about how much it takes quite a bit of resources when to fight any war. Okay, even a Cold War, which is like intelligence and spying and all that, takes enormous resources, and it takes enormous time and effort, even from the leaders, to focus on their people and the welfare of their people. So peace, always a good thing. You would see right here, New York Times reporting in September 2nd, 2020, said Saudi Arabia opens airspace for the first time to Israeli flights. First time in God knows how long. That's a great thing. Okay, you would see the New York Post, Joe Biden, even Joe Biden himself, praises Donald Trump. It says Joe Biden praises Trump-led Israel, UAE, Bahrain accords. Okay, and that's a great thing. That was just happened September 16th of this year. The next picture, you will see a picture of that accord, which we call the Abraham Accord, by the way. And here it is. You have the foreign minister of the UAE, you have the prime minister of Israel, Donald Trump in the middle, and you have the foreign minister of Bahrain. Well, the first one is actually Bahrain, and that one is the UAE. But you get the picture. Here they sign a peace agreement, which is probably the largest thing that ever signed since the Camp David, when Israel signed peace with Egypt. So this is definitely huge in our foreign affairs. It's good for our national security as US of A, and it's good for the Arab world, that they can focus on prosperity, on the people, versus on fights, needless fights, and just resources that just flies out. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. And you would see here more accomplishments for Donald Trump, really something to be noted. Majority Democrats in Congress praised Trump Middle East peace deal. Okay, that's in this day and age, that's news right there. When you see any Democrat on the other side of the aisle praising Donald Trump, that takes a lot, but it's a historic. As a matter of fact, the media still didn't do it any justice. This is definitely the biggest thing ever happened besides COVID in 2020. So these peace agreements are huge, and we don't hear about them, you know. But now I'm letting you know about them. I also put here some of the resources where that reported on that. For example, this one was the Washington Free Beacon on October 22nd, just a few days ago, a week ago, basically, when that came out. You have the Associated Press on the bottom of the screen when another peace accord was signed on October 23rd, a few days ago. Sudan, this time, to join UAE, Bahrain in recognizing Israel. Okay, so we have Sudan that hasn't been doing any business with Israel. As a matter of fact, effectively, they've been in war, not maybe actual war where soldiers and resources are destroyed, but there is no talks, no embassies, nothing, no relationships, no diplomatic relationships for decades. And now that is changing. My friend, this is a great day for democracy, and it's a great day for the US leading role, but it's also a great day for the Middle East because everybody is going to win out of these trades and openness to different governments. And I believe a lot of good things gonna happen in 2021 because of that. So moving along, and we have about a little bit over 15 more minutes. So I'm gonna try to go through that. Big news that happened last year, and that was, of course, recorded by many news media, including BBC News. You see on your screen, Islamic State, ISIS. Islamic State group defeated as final territory lost for US-backed forces. So again, we don't hear much about ISIS. Yeah, some people say, well, ISIS is not gone, perhaps, and it can take different forms. Radicalism will always stay with us. Radicalism on on the left, on the right, in any religion, there are usually radicals, and sometimes they take their religion out of content, and they try to rubber stamp the religion, basically get the stamp of approval of their religion. Regardless of where you stand on that, we all believe that terrorism is condemned by anyone, by national and international figures, countries, leaders. And I was so happy to see, ISIS at least not prying on others, Christians and Muslims, and women and kids, and just so many atrocities happen under ISIS. And I was so happy to see that caliphate is almost gone. We'll move into the next one, please, and we'll see right here. Okay. One more. Here we go. That's it. Serbia and Kosovo. Another big achievement for the Secretary of State, of course, under Donald Trump. The Hill here reports on September 4th, 2020, that Serbia-Kosovo agreement results from Trump's different brand of diplomacy. And that basically tells us how important, when you have new take on things, instead of a Washington insider, instead of someone who has been doing Washington business for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, we got new blood named Donald Trump, a businessman, ready to negotiate, ready to cut deals, ready to hopefully bring peace. And he said that, he ran on that. And guess what? We see it in the Middle East. We see it between Serbia and Kosovo, two countries, two beautiful countries. Of course, there is religious underlying reasons also. But guess what? They just signed. If we go to the next slide, please. Here we go. And you see the president of Serbia and the prime minister of Kosovo and the president right in the middle. And it shows you this is a great moment when U.S. is able to bring peace to different parts of the world. Hundreds, thousands. These two nations have been fighting God knows for how long. And even on Bill Clinton's watch, they were fighting. Of course, on Obama's watch, they were fighting. On George W. Bush, they were fighting. Very significant that Donald Trump was able to bring these two enemies, both of them smiling, both of them sitting, accepting each other, signing trade agreements together. I think this is a great accomplishment. Let's move on to the next one. And another, Armenia and Azerbaijan. As Washington Post reports, U.S. announces new ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan over disputed enclave. That's October 25th, only 4 days ago. Huge. Armenian been lobbying the U.S. government and Donald Trump personally to do something about it. And he has been trying until he brought those two parties to ceasefire. We hope and pray that will continue to ceasefire and hopefully even will progress some more into full normalization of relationships between these two awesome countries, Armenia and Azerbaijan. We will move on to the next one, please. And that will be some of the trade agreements. So we covered economic, national. We covered the foreign affairs. Now, how about the mix of two, which came, you probably remember NAFTA under Donald Trump. There was NAFTA trade deal. And a lot of people didn't like it because U.S. lost a lot of jobs. Manufacturers just migrated out to Mexico and to Canada. And guess what? Who loses? You and I, American citizens who got a job, who's feeding a family, who's trying to make ends meet. Guess what? Now they're out of the job. And it's unfortunate because the federal government under Obama actually caused that to happen. And Biden, because Biden was a vice president. Okay. On January 29th, 2020, Trump signs USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada trade deal to replace nightmare NAFTA. And it's really amazing that I meant to have NBC report that because it's one of the most liberal. I try to have also a lot of the liberal news, what they say about the issues, because they're not taking Trump's side. They are just, they are giving basically credit where credit is due. So that's why I try to pick even which news avenue to let you, my dear viewer, read. And this one came from NBC, which is animate against Donald Trump personality tweets. And, they try to pick on him on how he is handling COVID or what have you. And I believe, speaking of COVID, I believe under this administration, they've done far more than Obama when we were hit by other plagues that, like we had the Ebola, we had other ones, the HANA, and all these were far less damaging than COVID and far less contagious. But guess what? It was completely mishandled by other administrations. As a matter of fact, when Donald Trump came to office in 2017, well, he got elected 2016, got into office on January 20th, 2017. According to him, all the national reserve of the PPE, the masks, the goggles, everything else was completely depleted. There was nothing there. It was shells. It was empty, bare. And that tells you something about how things are being, the truthfulness of things, how things being reported and how things are being actually happening on the ground. Let's go one more here to the next one, please. And it will, if we go to the next one, it will be about US-Brazil trade deal. Okay, we have a little technical difficulty. And here we go. Thank you. New York Times, US to sign limited trade deal with Brazil. Brazil is a huge country, as you probably know. It's a big country. Yes, no China or Russia, but Brazil is big economic power as well. And on October 19th, another trade deal was signed. That's great news for you and I. The more we see trade deals coming, the more we know that there is more import and export. There is more shipping. There is more jobs. There is more opportunities. There is more trade. Trade is a big thing. You can buy the things, that's what free trade is all about. You buy things that we don't produce here at a reasonable price. And in lieu of that, in exchange for that, we also export some of the things here that is we export, whether it's products or, of course, agriculture. We do exports of lots of things, from military to medicines, so forth and so on. And you have the US-China trade deal here. That's the next one. Will be reported also, I believe, by the New York Times. That will be the previous one. I'm sorry. Okay, you may not have that one. That's fine. Let me just tell you that both sides in September 2020, US and China, came out to say that the agreement that was signed, it was signed beginning of this year, right before COVID hit. And both sides came out to say that the agreement between US and China is going well, and it's progressing with a measure of success. And I want to take you to the second clip tonight before we run out of time. And this is going to be important. Why? Because China is a big player, and it's a big reason in this election. Very important, where our elected official, meaning the president and the Senate and the Congress people, where they're going to stand on China and the Communist Party, the CCP, China Communist Party. It's huge to understand where they stand. Of course, there is lots, as we discussed the first half of this show, that there is a lot of smoke gun between under the table trade deals between Joe Biden and China. Whether that's true or not is still to be seen. But I want you to take a look at the next clip. And after the clip, we're going to comment on it. And here is what Donald Trump take on China. Please roll the clip.
Power of tariffs being imposed on foreign lands that took advantage of the United States for decades and decades have enabled us to make great trade deals where there were none. Tens of billions of dollars are now paid to the United States Treasury by these same countries. But there and then, we got hit by the virus that came from China. We are producing gowns and masks and surgical equipment in our country, where heretofore it was almost exclusively made in foreign lands, in particular China. where, ironically, this virus and others came from. China's secrecy, deceptions, and cover-up allowed it to spread all over the world, 189 countries. And China must be.
Okay, so you get the gist of it. Trump is tough on China. Trump is tough in foreign policies. He does not take nonsense, okay? He does not allow nonsense. He is holding China responsible, the Communist Party responsible for COVID and for other things that attach to COVID, whether it's PPE and other stuff. So please keep that in mind as I'm going to go through some of the achievements that this administration accomplished last 3 years. For the sake of reporting facts, I want you to keep our stance as administration, the U.S. stance against communist China. And you see a slide here right in front of you. It's not related to that, but it's related to the accomplishments of Donald Trump. And it says U.S. smashes renewable energy investment records. Why this is important, and that's January 2020. Why is that important? Because Trump takes a lot of attacks from the left because of environment and environmental issues. While we have the best, cleanest air in decades, on record, the lowest CO2 in the air, we have record $55.5 billion flowed into that sector. You don't hear about that. You don't hear about that in the Wall Street and the Washington Post or in New York Times or USA Today, but this is a fact. And I gave you also where it's from, and you see here RE Charger, which is a renewable energy magazine that tells you what's going on in their industry. And you can verify those information to be true, and I know for sure it's true. So let's move along here for the sake of time. I'm going to go very quickly about Trump other achievements. Tax cuts, historic tax cuts. Manufactured production grew 11 times as much as it was under Obama and Biden. 11 times as much. Imagine that. Okay. Drastic cutting of regulations. Useless thousands of regulations were cut. Why is that a good thing? Because regulations hinder businesses. Regulations prevent us from doing business. As a matter of fact, Trump put a rule of thumb. He said for every new, and this is what they're doing, for every new regulation under this administration, the Trump administration, they have to scratch off, eliminate 22 needless other regulations. That is just red tape. Okay, that's a huge, my friend. Opportunity zones. What is opportunity zones? Really quickly. Opportunity zones is money flowing into areas that is historically high in crime, usually minorities, most of the time minorities, and a lot of times even African American communities in those communities. So opportunity zones, it came under Senator Tim Scott, and it allows the people, if they invest in these areas, they take tax credit, tax break really for 7 years, and it could even be extended after that. Then you have also what's called the Prison Reform, the First Step Act, the FSA. And that's about all the forgotten, the people that nobody asks about in prisons. That is a direct law to reverse what Biden did in 1994, where he put a lot of nonviolent criminals in jail, maybe for a misdemeanor, what should have been a misdemeanor. Maybe just someone has a drug problem or owned or carried a gun when he shouldn't have for whatever reason, or something happened, and these people sometimes took 3 strikes and they were in prison for a long time. Trump reversed that. Thankfully, that Trump reversed that. Then you would have also brand new $500 billion platinum plan also for the African American community and other minorities. That's another plan to help all the minority. We are running out of time, so I'm going to go also next slide here for how Trump helped women minorities, how wages increased $150 billion under Trump in the first 6 months of 2019 than all of 2016 under Biden. Okay, how he funded black colleges and how he 10.7 million net jobs in the first 4 months after COVID. That's just last 4 months. Okay, so this is a record. I am here to tell you there is a record between a contrast between Trump and Biden. So when you go to the vote in a few days, please make sure that you vote, you know the issues, and I pray that you make the right decision because your life and my life will depend on it, not just for 4 years, but likely for much, much more than that. With that said, I would love to see you voting, and I would see you next time at the same time, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, right here on In the News with Jim Bishay. God bless you.
Thank you for watching Trinity Channel and supporting AVNSat TV ministry. You can further support this ministry through social media, Facebook and YouTube. Just search Trinity Channel and click on our page. From there, like, follow, and share our page on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel while clicking on the bell icon to the right to receive notifications on new videos that we will post to the channel each week. Most importantly, after watching a video on these sites, use the comment section to give your thoughts about the program. Continue to support this ministry by following us on social media.